Good evening, my name is Sandra Esenam Apeno, and time now to do some business. So business activity at the Odona Pedestrian Mall at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle here in Accra have grounded to a halt after authorities shut down stores following a fire outbreak which ravaged about 80 shops. Affected traders of the disaster are counting their losses, especially when majority of them have no insurance policy to fall on in such terrible times. Charles Aite has more in this report.
Rebels, smoke, grief. What you'd find at the Odona Pedestrian Mall at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle in Accra, where 80 shops were burned to the ground by fire. Eunice Nye is a victim to the market fire. She tells me she lost 6,000 Ghana cedis in the disaster. Having been victim to 3 market fires, I inquired of Eunice whether she ever insured her shop. She says she has little confidence in insurance companies.
insurance.
The question that remains is very clear. Where does insurance policies fall when it comes to situations of market fire safety in our regional capitals, especially when thousands of Ghana cities each and every year, if not millions at that, get lost to the mercies of the fire?
Even though government may have intensified efforts to ensure fire safety at the various market centers, the issue of insurance is often left out, if not downplayed. Dr. Zaneto Rawlings is Member of Parliament for the Klote-Kolli constituency.
The uptake of insurance is quite low in the non-formal sector in general. Some had insured their shops, but a lot of people had no insurance, and I'm sure the case is very similar here as well. I think it definitely would be part of what we need to do when we have this Durbar, because it's not just about the rules and regulations, it's about what can we do to make sure that people have a buffer.
5 in every 7 market fires in the country are often related to electrical faults. So far, the situation cannot be ruled out as part of the many speculations attached to the cause of fire outbreak here at the Odona market.
Prince Quay is a security official who oversees activities here at the pedestrian mall. He explains to me why market centers in Accra often suffer these disasters.
The women, sometimes they are careless. Yes. Sometimes they say they cook, they chop bad people. Sometimes they will leave the fire, they will quench the fire, and if air blow, it will generate again.
There should be more engagement between the metropolitan authorities and fire service. If they are able to do that, well, they could give an excuse that maybe when they were calling the emergency line, we didn't go through. But if there is closer collaboration, they can somebody from the market or maybe the market association leader can easily call the private phone number of the officer in charge of the fire post at Odona or Circle. It will be even easier.
Ghana's insurance penetration currently stands at 2%. For traders like Eunice, who are at high risk of losing goods to market fires, effective insurance is key. But at what cost? Dr. Gideon Amenyado is a senior insurance consultant.
What really happens is that, one, such places, like the marketplaces, they advise how they can improve the risk so that they can get a reasonable premium. But if they don't improve the risk, it means therefore that what will be charged will be higher. Because the pool, people must pay equitably. If your risk is lower, your probability of a loss is just like 5%, and somebody's own is 90%, the 90% person must pay higher. And also, the insurer will bring certain conditions, things that you have to do to improve, which you call warranty. They will build into the contract for you. So those are the things you're supposed to do. If you don't do them and leads to the loss, then at the time of loss, you might suffer compensation.
Market fires indeed are depressing disasters that distort business activity and livelihoods of affected persons and their dependents. This burden of pain can somewhat be cushioned if only effective insurance plans are considered by both government and traders. For Joy Business, Charles Aite reporting.
Thank you.
Very disturbing pictures from the Odona market, but let's look at some statistics. And reports from the Ghana Fire Service has shown that commercial fires, including market fire disasters, has increased from 644 in 2017 to 737 in 2018. And the cost of damages, Ghana lost 28 billion Ghana cedis in 2018 as against 25 billion Ghana cedis in 2017. Quite disturbing, but that's the figures there. Let's move on to other stories. And the Ghana Association of Energy Economics is advising utility consumers to resort to energy-efficient equipment in the face of unstable prices. This comes in the wake of the conversation over the possible increase in utility tariff by the power producers. President of the association, Sapon Kumakuma, says consumers must brace up for inevitable tariff increases. He was speaking at the capacity building workshop for stakeholders on renewable energy.
Members of the Ghana Association of Energy Economics and other stakeholders are attending a 4-day trainer of trainers workshop to build capacity in renewable energy and energy efficiency. It is focusing on increasing awareness and enhancing adoption of energy efficient technologies in Ghana. In the wake of the conversation of the hikes in utility tariffs, the association believes consumers must resort to energy-efficient equipment in the face of the unstable prices. Sapon Kumakuma is president of the association.
But that's where energy efficiency also becomes a factor. We should rather look at how best we can minimize our consumption, how best we can use equipment and machines that consumes less. So once we're able to use some of these equipment, we're able to reduce our consumption. And so whether the utility price goes up or not, at least we are less affected because we are more efficient in our energy consumption. And so there's a tendency that there will be a power increase, but the best way out is that let's be conscious about our consumption.
According to him, the workshop will increase awareness and enhance adoption of energy-efficient technologies in Ghana.
Okay, basically the focus of this training is to train trainers, that people will be ambassadors of the association who go out there to their various regions. In fact, we have members coming from the various regions, the 10 regions that we have, and they are basically supposed to go and sell the idea of energy efficiency and renewable energy to their other members in their various regions.
Prince Apia reporting.
In a related development, some energy sector players are predicting continued rise in utility costs due to underutilization of investments made in the energy sector by previous governments. Consultants for the Institute of Sustainable Environment Solution, Dr. Muntala Mohammed, was reacting to concerns by industry players over tariff hikes by the PURC. Utility providers at a nationwide consultation forum have called for an up to 90% increment in tariff, although some players have pleaded with the PURC not to take such cautions. Muntala says prices cannot fall until current contracts elapse.
Currently, Ghana is producing a lot of energy. Our generation rate is very high. We are currently generating over 4,000 megawatts of energy, but our consumption is around 2,300 and something, according to the data from the Energy Commission. So there's a lot of energy that we are not utilizing, and we realize that most of these energy are coming from the investment that went into the energy sector. There was a lot of PPP agreement that was signed. A lot of energy producing companies are producing energy, but they are not being utilized. And these contracts, government has to fulfill these contracts.
All right, so time now to check up news elsewhere in our local business scene, and next is our local wrap.
The Forum for Public Sector Registered Pension Schemes has disputed government's claim that it has reached an agreement with some private pension fund managers to use their funds to support some indigenous banks with the creation of the Ghana Amalgamated Trust, GAT. The Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP, has said the country will still lose money even if the Sankofa gas remains under the ocean to be produced later. It said in a release that when the time value of money principle is applied to the $28 million monthly payments the country is supposedly making to Eni and partners, it will not be difficult to see that the country is incurring losses. The Driving Vehicle Licensing Authority, DVLA, has warned that it will prosecute anyone who attempts to defraud the public using its new e-online registration system. The system, which has been in place since January 4 this year, is aimed at simplifying the processes of registering cars.
All right, so thanks so much for your time, but I'll be back in about 30 minutes where we will be having a conversation on the mining sector. How many mining firms have been approved by Parliament and how many are operating illegally? How about what is trending on social media and the world of business? So I have the details plus results of a Joy Business poll in about just 30 minutes. Thanks so much for your time. Hello again, time now to do more business with me, Sandra Essenam Apeno, and Chairman of the Public Interest and Accountability Committee, Dr. Stephen Mantiao, is calling for the prosecution of past mines and natural resources ministers who appended signatures to mining leases without parliamentary ratification. That's more in the following report.
Dr. Mantiao's call follows reports that 35 mining firms are operating with the required parliamentary ratification to aid their dealings in the country. He tells Joy Business steps must be taken to serve as a deterrent to other public officials.
Firms cannot bring their own contracts to Parliament for ratification. It is the minister who negotiated that contract who needs the approval of Parliament for the contract he has negotiated in the name of the Republic. So the companies have done nothing wrong. Perhaps what they have done wrong is not waiting for the contracts to be ratified before going into production. But I don't think it is their responsibility to bring the documents for ratification. So whoever failed to do what they need for is the one who has questions to answer and not the companies.
For some, this confirmation by Dr. Mantiao is interesting, looking at the mining firms involved or said not to be secured. Two members of Parliament, Alhassan Suhini and Ernest Henry Nogbe, who have taken the issue to court, are seeking some relief, which include freezing the activities of these firms until the necessary approvals are sought.
Meanwhile, former CEO of the Minerals Commission, Dr. Tony Obeng, has confirmed some mining firms in the country are operating without a ratification of their mining leases. My colleague George Rafi sat with him for a conversation on why some of these firms had delayed in getting their approval.
This is an ongoing fight. I recall that before me and even in my time, we wrote to Parliament. We tried that Parliament, and the law allows Parliament to grant the power of ratification to some institutions so that they could just take the smaller ones, the sand, the small-scale mining and all those stuff, could go to an institution. It could be interministerial or inter-institutional agency that looks at ratifying those, and that happens elsewhere in Africa. You can see that for ratification, there is a body that is there to look at it, not Parliament. So that Parliament will be required to only focus on the big ones. And that even at the level of the Commission and the Ministry, there should be specific attention paid to ratification. Because as I always say, when I went, there were a set of applications that had been there for 9 years, and this had been, there had been back and forth between the Commission and then the Ministry and sometimes Parliament and all that. So in that situation, the mining company per se is unable to do much.
Would you think that it's gotten to the time that Parliament could cede those powers, maybe to Minerals Commission or that sort, so that it could help fast track the process, so that maybe Minerals Commission could focus on the smaller firms whilst Parliament deals with those huge multinationals?
Yes, because the law actually allows that Parliament can actually delegate that power to an institution or an individual or something. I would prefer some kind of interinstitutional body that will meet regularly to review and ratify, especially for the smaller scale ones like sun winning, small scale mining, quarry and all that, so that the bigger things would be the responsibility of Parliament.
Right, so that was former CEO of the Minerals Commission, Dr. Stephen Obeng, and also the president and founder of African Institute of Extractive Industries, interacting with my colleague, George Biafe. To the commodities market, and crude oil went down marginally to trade at $61 per barrel. Let's go for the commodities now. All right, so it's time now to check what's happening on social media. And as you may be aware, if you don't know, I'm telling you now, because the world debt has hit a record 244 trillion, and that's got social media talking. Also, Zimbabwe is to introduce a new currency. And so let's go to the PowerPoint to see what's happening, what people have been talking about. And this one is on Men's Gold, actually. So is there any fund in that account? This has to do with the EOCO freezing NAM1's account. And this message is from Bright Achiasi, and he says, is there any fund in that account? I don't believe Ponzi scheme accounts don't have fund in them. Don't give hope to the vulnerable when there's none to offer. And this one, it's the first one on EOCO. And this EOCO, who didn't know the whereabouts of NAM1 until the fact came out from Dubai authorities, is that one to EOCO? They should rather be ashamed of themselves for making a mockery of our security intelligence. And let's go on. And this is from Jacob Amego. And he said, can we not erase these debts by saying that we forgive our debtors because we did good to ourselves? This is because we live in the same world, and that has to do with the world debt hitting some $244 trillion. Let's move on and see what other people are talking. Don Lyric said, international leaders should be able to have amalgamated ideas to mobilize funds to finance the global debt. Ideally, on my knee to the world leaders, they should have a consensus memories on this controversial debt to facilitate sustainable and rapid global success. In a nutshell, if a collective action and effective finance are not taken immediately, it will go a long way to affect our global macroeconomics, and our future leaders will endure. Let's see. So those were some of the comments. Let's get this one. That's what, and this actually has to do the debt issue, and get over this debt scaremongering. Debt is good if it's meant to build assets, which retains income or intangible economic benefits. I hope I understand what he's trying to say. So on the debt issue, global debt is now more than 3 times the size of the world economy. The level of debt around the world has topped 318% of global gross domestic products, and the world is swimming in 244 trillion debt. That's what I said earlier on. So that's what people have been saying on social media. All right, so on that note, it's a wrap with me, Sandra Esenam-Apeno, for Business Tonight. Do make a date with me tomorrow for more business. Let's do more business tomorrow. Thanks so much for your time.